Here we are before the biggest match of the year. Is it the biggest match of the year? Is there anything this year that's been close to this match? I'm not sure, actually. Oh, it's a lovely decaf. Who am I kidding? Decaf sucks. You can taste the difference. I promise you. If you drink decaf already, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. Why am I talking about decaf? This is the biggest match of the year. This is the thumbnail says GOAT match, greatest of all time match, because this match has huge implications. Big implications. If Rafa can beat the Joker tomorrow, which I think he will, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher than a lot of Rafa fans out there are expecting. I think a lot of people are thinking that this is going to be a repeat of last year in October, where Rafa crunched him, slapped him down, smacked him, put the smack down on the Joker. I don't think it's going to be like that. In fact, this year's been kind of weird. I'm just going to go ahead and do something I normally don't do in these shows. I'll just tell you what I think. I think Rafa's going to win in 5 sets. But did you know Rafa's only been to 5 sets at the French Open 2 times in the whole history, his history at the French Open at the Roland Garros. Yeah, of course, 2011, John Isner, 5 sets, Rafa wins. A couple of tie breaks he lost there because John Isner, he's pretty good at tie breaks. And then, what was it, 2013? Djokovic, 5 sets, Rafa wins. One of the greatest matches of all time. It's kind of like that 2017 Australian Open, except Rafa wins this one down the break in the 5th set to Joker, just like Roger was down the break in the 5th set. Oh, the Fed fans were just getting too excited thinking about that. But I got the Rafa hat on because I do think Rafa will win, and I do think, at the very least, it's going to be 4 sets. Rafa wins in 4. I think we're going to get another 5-setter, and I think Rafa, because ultimately it comes down to confidence in your weapons, and Rafa is more confident on the clay at the French Open than anyone in history. The doubts will be there for Djokovic. The doubts will be there for Rafa at times as well. But bottom line is always going to be that Rafa is more comfortable going for it and believing in his strokes, at the Roland Garros. That's where he is at his very best as far as belief goes and going for your shots. And that's what wins you tennis matches. Now, I want to talk about this. I've seen Raw fans out there who are faking concern, I say, because they're basically saying, take a look for yourself. I mean, I'm sure you saw. If you're watching Coffee Break Tennis, you watched the match the other day, but maybe you didn't. Take a look.
C'était un match. Djokovic.
It's a lot of energy there, a lot of excitement from the Joker. Some people out there are basically saying, I'm worried. They're either angry and disgusted by this behavior, or I'm worried for Novak Djokovic's mental health. Okay, are you really worried for the mental health? I want to try to explain this, what Djokovic is doing there. And earlier in the match, he did kind of fake, like he was going to throw his racket into the stands, which is kind of funny because that's how you have good technique. I was watching that, and that would have been dangerous, but there's no one there. They made the fans go home, unfortunately, for Matteo Berrettini. What an effort from Berrettini, by the way. More on that later. Djokovic acted like he was going to throw his racket into the stands, and that's how you hit a good shot in tennis, If you throw something like this is how a lot of people play. They hit a ball and stop, That's not going to be a very good throw. It's not going to go very far like that. You throw something and you finish over your shoulder, right? You hit a forehand like you're trying to throw your racket through the ball, and you finish up here, and you keep your arm that loose like you're throwing. The difference is you don't let go. That's why it's not a throw, and that's what Djokovic did. He didn't let go, but some people think that was very dangerous, and that was a little dangerous if there were fans there, but there weren't, is the bottom line. Why is Djokovic so very angry that some Raw fans and just general Djokovic haters around the world are worried for his mental health? You got to realize this guy's accomplishments are right there with Roger and Rafa, right? They're pretty close. He started a little bit later than them, a few years after Rafa won his first major. Djokovic got his first. His accomplishments are right there. He's on track to catch them and maybe pass them. And yet everywhere he goes, the fans are against him. Every time Djokovic loses a point, the cheers are louder. You know that they want more of a match, even though they got to go home because of a stupid curfew. What was the point of switching the 9 p.m. curfew to 11 p.m. curfew? How are they saving lives with that? I don't know. More on that, probably never. Anyway, so they switched the curfew around, and the fans, they got to go home. But the fans, they still wanted to see as much tennis as possible before they left. And they're rooting not just to see more tennis, they're rooting because most people don't like Djokovic for whatever reason. And this is what I called years ago the Djokovic theorem. My theory was that Djokovic would be just overwhelmed by all this hate, for lack of a better word, or dislike, intense dislike, being the villain of every freaking tennis match, even against some losers that you never heard of before. The crowds will sometimes root against Djokovic. I thought at some point Djokovic is just going to mentally crumble because no human being, he's a person. Don't forget, he's a person. Whether you love him or hate him, he's a human being like us, and no human being can stand up against that kind of lack of support or hate. You could call it hate because sometimes it feels like just that, to the point where some of these people who dislike Djokovic so much that I think they maybe hate him, I think it's unhealthy for them. So I'm asking you, tennis fans out there, and know that I'm not the biggest Djokovic fan. I'm just a decent person, or I try to be. Look into your heart of hearts and ask yourself, why do you hate Djokovic so much? Is it a healthy, productive thing for you to hate Novak Djokovic? Anyways, that's just my little human interest moment here. We're going to have a great match tomorrow. I think Rafa's going to win in 5 sets, and I think it's going to be so entertaining that even this guy will be able to stay awake. Did anyone see this guy? I saw him. I don't miss anything here at Coffee Break Tennis. Diego Schwartzman, he's serving. Here's this guy behind him. It's all fun and games early on in the match. Maybe this guy works really hard. Maybe he's working the night shift. Maybe he's a healthcare. What do you call them? The heroes, the first responders. Maybe he's a first responder or something like that, and he's been working overnight. I don't know, but by halfway into the match, the guy's asleep. Don't worry, not going to be a problem tomorrow, even for that first responder who kept falling asleep. Don't hate the Djokovic so much that it ruins your life. Have a little happiness. And I know you'll be happy if Djokovic loses tomorrow. Hey, all I care about is that Federer wins another. I don't care what these guys do. Actually, I take that back. I kind of just want to see the big three beat the future generations. I just want to see the excellence continue. I'm now at a point where I'm going to root for whichever big three player is left against anybody and everybody. I'll have a little bit of me will be pulling for Tsitsipas maybe in a final, but why would you want a good thing like this to end? It's never going to be this good again. So let's ride it out, baby. Let's ride it to the very end. Today on the show, we're going to look at stats from the tournament for Djokovic and Rafa and talk about this match. Before we get into this match, because it's all I really care about, Sasha Zverev has not been tested. This is all I'm going to say about Tsitsipas Zverev. It's going to be great. If we didn't have the Big Three saga continuing tomorrow, I'd be really excited about this match. But I'm probably going to sleep in and miss some of it. That's the truth. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Tomorrow, my main assignment for Coffee Break Tennis. No teaching, no lessons, none of that. I got a lesson starting in about 45 minutes. So we got to get out of here in about 15, 20 minutes tops. My main mission tomorrow will be studying Djokovic and Nadal every second. I'll be tweeting it. Go to Twitter. Follow me at Coffee Break Tens, TENS, like tennis, but tens, like the number 10. By the way, if I'm going to be shouting things out like my Twitter, which I'll be tweeting about Rafa and Djokovic nonstop tomorrow, most likely. I'm going to be watching that very closely and twiddling away. So while I'm calling this stuff out, you can see me at Coffee Break Tens, TENS, like the number 10, at the Twitters. Also, I want to give a big thank you. This is like an advertisement, but mainly a thank you to the Patron Saints. If you want to join the Patron Saints, go to patreon.com/Coffee Break Tennis. You know, it's only during the Wimbledons I clear the schedule. I don't teach at all. Like I cancel everything. Maybe I'll leave a little bit in there, like people that I teach who are really good, so I get some hitting with them, teaching and hitting at the same time. It kind of keeps me fresh, keeps my brain working because I love to be on the court, of course. But I teach during the Roland Garros, and with all the heart stuff and going to the hospital recently, I had to wipe the slate clean. You know, I had to cancel. I lost money, basically, bottom line. So there would be no money coming in without the little bit of advertising revenue that comes from YouTube ads. That's a little bit. It's not very much. Mainly the patron Saints. Thank you so much to the patron Saints. You make Coffee Break Tennis possible. You make it much easier on me to do this show and not worry as much about how I'm going to eat or turn on the lights or put cat food in the cat's bowl. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, a little bit about Tsitsipas. My main mission tomorrow is Twitter and watching the match and making a great show previewing the final. But of course, I'll watch Tsitsipas and Zverev. Here's what I'm going to say about that, just a little bit on that. Zverev hasn't really been tested. His draw's been easier. You could say the same for Djokovic, although Djokovic has been tested more than Sasha Zverev. And Steph Tsitsipas, he has had some tough matches. He's playing very well. I like Tsitsipas in 4 sets tomorrow over Sasha Zverev. Although I will say this, a slight caveat. Sasha Zverev has looked very good, even though he hasn't really been tested. When the going gets tough with Sasha Zverev, when will those double faults and the forehand falling apart, that kind of stuff, when is that going to come into play? We saw Tsitsipas really tested with Medvedev. Medvedev played pretty well, considering that no one had any high hopes, any expectations for him. I think Tsitsipas is ready for the challenge. I'll even give him a shot to beat Djokovic or Nadal in the final. I think he'll have a shot against either one of them on Sunday. It's going to be a hell of a final. So let's get into Djokovic and Nadal. Put this on the screen. This is their stats thus far, not counting the quarterfinal. But I will read to you as we go through the stats what they did in the quarterfinal. You can compare. Aces and double faults. Djokovic had 30. Nadal 17. Nadal hit 6 in his match against Shorty D. That took him to 23. Novak had 10 against Berrettini. That takes him to 40. Double faults. Rafa's now at 20 after 3 with Shorty D. And one more for Djokovic takes him to 11. First serve points won. This is a little more telling here. They're both doing very well, obviously. Djokovic not quite as well as Rafa on the first serve points won, but Djokovic did better against Berrettini than Rafa did against Shorty D, but Shorty D's a better returner of serve. Second serve points won. They both did a lot better. Djokovic doing 65% compared to his tournament average of 54%. And Rafa in his quarterfinal with Shorty D going 68% win on second compared to his average of 52%. Return points won, 46 from Rafa. His average is 48. You see it on the screen. The averages up to the first 4 rounds, up to the quarterfinals. 47.5% return points won for the Joker. And 39. That dropped with Berrettini, but that's totally understandable. Berrettini was serving outstanding. Break points saved, 84% from Joker, 55 from Rafa. Rafa's had a little bit tougher of a road here, but honestly, I wouldn't say it's enough to throw these stats out the window. I think these stats are pretty good here. Djokovic saved all breakpoint opportunities against Matteo Berrettini. He was really good serving. Breakpoints converted. Djokovic lights out. Rafa not as good. And net points won. Rafa a little bit better, although Djokovic was 89% against Berrettini. Rafa 73% against Shorty D. And if we look at winners, Djokovic is at 148 winners on 103 unforced. Rafa 130 over 105. Add in what they did in their last match in the quarterfinals. Djokovic is at about 190 something over 122. Rafa's 165 over 134. Okay, so, I mean, there's not a lot difference. One big difference here, sets lost. Rafa's lost 1. Joker's lost 3. And, of course, and they came in the last 2 rounds for him, both two Italians. Time on court, Rafa is a little over 11 hours, almost 12 hours, and Djokovic is almost 13 hours, a little bit longer on the court. Let's look at some head-to-head stuff. Oh, by the way, before I go to head-to-head, one quick thing on head-to-head. Djokovic leads 29-28. So if Rafa can win tomorrow, they'll be tied in their head-to-head. And it'll make things very interesting in this GOAT race for me because it's still going on with all 3 of them, but especially with the younger 2, Rafa and Novak. So why am I reading you all these numbers here? I mean, really, there's not much to it. We kind of know everything. I say the biggest thing here of all these stats to really pay attention to is that Djokovic has been better in the clutch. Rafa's opponents have been a little tougher. So is it because of that? I don't know. But in the clutch, Djokovic saving 84% of break points, 100% against Berrettini versus 55 average for the tournament, 25 against Diego Schwartzman for Rafa. 67% break points converted. That went down against Berrettini. Berrettini's serve is a freaking monster. Of course, it will go down. 44 is great against Berrettini. 49% for the Rafa for the tournament average, and it went up a little bit to 50 against Shorty D, who's got a freaking baby serve. So, of course, those are kind of important numbers because it says Djokovic is dealing with the pressure moments. There's going to be a lot of them tomorrow. Going to be a lot of pressure moments for both players. And then I'd say Rafa's better off the ground. He's played 1 hour less, basically. That doesn't really matter. Rafa a little bit better off the ground, and that's typical on clay. Rafa's going to be better off the ground compared to everyone, even Djokovic. And Djokovic is serving better. I mean, it's nothing new there. We'll look at some head-to-head numbers on them as far as their matchup, their rivalry goes in a second, but that's it for the numbers. I did look at Craig O'Shaughnessy's breakdown from Rome. A lot of numbers there. Not going to bore you with even more numbers, but I'll tell you this. Rafa does all of his damage on the serve +1, the third shot. We talked about it last time. Rafa is the serve. The return comes back. That's the third shot where Rafa hits next. The second most damage that he'll do, right? Winners from Rafa, errors drawn from the opponent because that third shot is so good. The fifth shot, so serve, return, Rafa's all-important third shot. The opponent gets a fourth shot back, Rafa's fifth shot. That is where the second most amount of damage is done by Rafa. So keep that in mind tomorrow. We just saw Djokovic go, and that's what Djokovic said why he was screaming and going crazy like that is because, it's just you're in a pressure cooker against a guy like Berrettini where you have to hold serve. Djokovic was amazing to not have his serve broken. A lot of pressure when you're playing someone like that who can serve so well. We saw Tsitsipas do the same thing against John Isner. He was screaming and losing his mind and going nuts. It's a difficult kind of way to play, right? You play someone who's just guaranteed to hold serve, and then you have to hold serve. And when you get in a little danger on your serve game, it'll drive you kind of crazy. I mean, all tennis players are a little bit crazy. I'd like to see a lot of people who are critical of Djokovic in that situation on TV with a bunch of people watching and twittering away on Twitter, saying a bunch of uneducated, dumb stuff that they wouldn't know anything about because they've never been in such a situation before and probably never, ever will. No offense to anyone who hates Djokovic a lot out there, because I know some of the people I like are very much against Djokovic, and I get it. I get why you are. Just at some point, I think it's a point of diminishing returns. The more Djokovic hate you have in your life, I don't think it's really going to bring you a lot. The more you do it, it's not like it's going to help you in any way in your life. Anyways, Djokovic was outstanding to hold serve under all of that pressure, and that's why I think he serves so well. I think it's going to be really hard on Rafa to keep holding serve, and we saw it in Rome. Rafa was able to do it in the first and third sets, but in the second set, Rafa's ball's dropping a little shorter. I'm talking about the Rome final where Djokovic and Rafa just played a great match. Rafa's ball's dropping a little shorter, so that's a big problem too. But Djokovic serving so well that it becomes very difficult for Rafa to deal with that pressure of returning Djokovic's serve if he's not holding on his games. He wasn't able to hold all the time against Shorty D, and Shorty D, he's a great returner and all, but Djokovic is better. We saw that with Berrettini. Berrettini was serving outstanding. Djokovic did such a good job of not letting Berrettini dictate on that third shot. So to me, and honestly, you look at those numbers and you listen to what I'm about to say, and you would want to go Djokovic wins. That's why I ultimately go with confidence. Who has the most confidence on clay at Roland Garros? It's Rafa. He's going to have the most confidence. He's going to feel the best. But Djokovic, he was just dealing with, somebody who's one of the best players as far as being equipped to do the serve +1 on the ATP Tour. Berrettini has the best serve, one of the best serves in the world to set yourself up with an easy +1 winner, and he has one of the best shots in the world right now to do it with his forehand. So Djokovic had to return so well to make Berrettini not have an easier ball to make that serve +1 happen. That was really the story of the match. Berrettini not able to deal with Djokovic's serving. Djokovic's serving was outstanding. Shorty D did a lot of what Djokovic will have to do if he's going to beat Rafa tomorrow. I thought Shorty D had a good game plan. We saw Shorty D taking the ball very, very early, always putting pressure on Rafa and using the net, right? If Rafa is so good, if we get past shot number 3 and shot number 5, regardless of who's serving or returning in a match, Rafa is so good at getting back to neutral no matter what you do. You hurt Rafa, and he somehow gets there and gets the ball back deep enough to where the rally becomes more neutral. So Shorty D was very smart to come to net a lot. Every time he had truly hurt Rafa with court positioning, he came to net and put it away. Djokovic will definitely have to do a little bit of that. He tried in Rome. You saw Djokovic hitting drop shots and coming to net, and you saw a lot of Rafa passing shots. So Djokovic has got to be careful not to go to the net just because he needs a point and he's desperate. He's got to be good at what Rafa does so well. Recognize when it's definitely green light go for the net. Know when you've done enough damage to hurt your opponent and go to the net. Put these head-to-head stats on the screen really quick. Djokovic leads 29-28. We already said that. Best of 3 set matches 23-17. In finals 15-13. Masters 1000s. Djokovic leads 6. Djokovic leads to a lot, but don't worry, we're getting something else here. Tied. Masters 1000 finals 7-7. Rafa leads 19-7 on the clay. Rafa leads 9-4 on clay in finals. So if it's a final, Djokovic tends to do a little better. So that's another little tiny statistical little weird advantage here for Rafa. It's not a final, therefore his record is better against Djokovic. I don't know if that actually means anything, but there's that. This is actually in the article that I was showing you the stats from, where they averaged all the stats for Joker and Rafa. When you strip away aces and double, this goes exactly what I just said. Rafa's doing better off the ground. Djokovic is serving better. When you strip away aces and double faults from Djokovic and Nadal's winner and unforced error counts, they are so close. Outside of the serve, Nadal hits 1.28 winners for every unforced error, and Djokovic hits 1.27. So honestly, they're closer than I thought in the ground strokes if you take out aces and double faults. So that's another advantage for Djokovic. I mean, I think we're in for Rafa's third, 5th set, 5-set match at Roland Garros tomorrow. Hit the music. I got to get out of here. I got to get on the court pretty soon. I think we're in for a real treat tomorrow. The bottom line here is pay attention to that serve +1 action. I think Djokovic's serve is going to be great tomorrow. Good enough, even though Rafa can put a lot of pressure on servers. Good enough to where he's going to hit a lot of those serve +1s. Can he be fine-tuned enough and not lose his nerve? In that tiebreak against Berrettini, we saw Djokovic ready to take it. 2 unforced errors off the ground out of nowhere in a set where he only had, I think he had 1 unforced error that entire set. Djokovic, for a long time, had 0 unforced errors in that match with Berrettini. Another factor tomorrow, of course, will be how good can Djokovic return? Can he disrupt? He couldn't do it last year at the French Open. Can he stop Rafa from the serve +1, from the 3rd shot that Rafa is so good at, and that 5th shot as well? Can he hit a good enough return to where not only, because remember, the second most amount of damage for Rafa is on that 5th shot, which is his 2nd shot after his serve. When Djokovic is returning, can he hit a good enough return not only to stop Rafa from hitting a winner or forcing an error right away, but also can he set himself up to survive that next shot from Rafa? Can he get right into the rally right away? I hope he was looking at a little bit of what Shorty D did. Shorty D had a lot going for him. If he had the serve of Djokovic, he might have won yesterday. Anyways, you know my pick. It all comes down to confidence. Like Andy Roddick said, I'll take confidence over experience every day. But, of course, Rafa at Roland Garros, he has a whole lot of confidence and experience doing nothing but win, 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 baby. We'll be back after the matches tomorrow to preview the final. See ya!